On the surface, Uncut Gems isn't the type of movie that someone who makes film analysis videos would pick. On the surface level, it doesn't seem to be a movie that has a crazy amount of depth to it. It doesn't seem like a 2001 or a even a Citizen Kane level of depth, or all those are great movies, but on the surface they are very apparent that there is a massive amount of depth and things to decipher from those types of movies. Uncut Gems is a great film for many reasons. It has a commentary on materialism, amazing editing and cinematography that creates a visceral reaction that is upsetting and has the viewer on the edge of their seat, a great critique of what it's like to hustle in America. All of these things are great, but they exist in plenty of other films. The thing about Uncut Gems that makes it unique, and that I don't believe any other movie has, is that Uncut Gems is about the pursuit of the perfect orgasm. That's definitely a heavy statement to make about a film that doesn't really seem to be that much about an orgasm. But let me explain. So after watching the movie, it's pretty easy to assume that if Howie was able to get out of his current situation of trying to pay back the loan sharks, that he would probably just get himself back into some other get-rich-quick scheme or some other betting issue that would lead him basically exactly back to where he was, and having to pull off some incredibly unlikely scenario to be able to make it back to break even or make it back to being successful. So on a conscious level, Howie isn't in control of his decisions. So what in Howie is really making the decisions? Howie's id is what is really making the choices for him. What does the lizard brain want more than anything?
Holy shit, I'm gonna come.
Howie's id isn't looking for a long-form delayed gratification. It wants the biggest dopamine rush as possible and as quickly as possible. This is why Howie bets on the Kevin Garnett game, because it's not enough for Howie's lizard brain to just survive this ordeal. Howie needs that ultimate rush of making that incomprehensible amount of money. So these are the deeper brass tacks conclusions that we can make about this film without really jumping too far off of the film or having to bring in other evidence to support it. If you just watch the film enough times, you realize that Howie will, if he doesn't die at that point in the movie, he's going to get himself back into that situation. Howie is obviously not making level-headed decisions just by watching the movie, and that's sort of the whole point and style of the movie, is that it's quick, it's fast, it's herky-jerky, you don't know what's going to happen next. It's by the seat of your pants of this guy making these irrational, crazy decisions. But now here's where we get into a little bit of a deeper, more philosophical or spiritual way of looking at the movie. So why is when Howie gets shot in the head, when he has the biggest payoff of his entire life, hitting it big, making $1.5 million or something dollars, the ultimate orgasm? Well, we can make a few assumptions or a few conclusions about what death is. First is that death isn't for some people necessarily a bad thing. There's always the people who use the term the sweet release of death, and that kind of can apply to Howie and his predicament. He is in a fair amount of pain and anxiety and suffering throughout the whole film. It's only those bright moments, those few bright moments in the movie, which includes him getting shot in the face, that he seems to actually be enjoying himself and having a good time. So death does not necessarily mean a negative thing for Howie. And there is scientific evidence to support that there is an orgasm after death. So Howie, hating and suffering through the majority of his life except for these bright little moments, and having the ultimate bright little moment of his life of winning a massive amount of money, and then having the orgasm of death happen, would be a pretty big rush, pretty big dopamine rush that his lizard brain would like. But we can take things even a step further. There's a theory that when you die, DMT rushes into your brain and you begin to hallucinate as you're dying, and your afterlife is basically you hallucinating on DMT forever. So if we take that and we apply it to Howie's situation, Howie is having this immense euphoric experience. He has the orgasm of death, and then the DMT rushes into his brain, and he is then hallucinating on that euphoric rush for eternity, basically. And I think that's kind of what you see at the end of the movie when you go into his wound, or assuming his brain, having this amazing euphoric rush. And those visuals are sort of the visualization of this euphoric rush that he's having, that is sort of this ultimate orgasmic experience for him. Thanks for listening to my weird analysis interpretation for Uncut Gems. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and I'll work on putting more out. Thanks for watching.